Card Fight Vanguard Overdress. A brand new era for the franchise was released in 2021. A whole new cast of characters and new decks for everyone to experience. With new gameplay and mechanics, the structure of the game moves towards the removal of clans to nations. With this change, the predecessor of Bermuda Triangle became Lyrical Monasterio. Moving from the one race of mermaids into many races, a lot of players were interested. The first set featuring Lyrical Monasterio was released as Lyrical Melody to the public. One of the many decks were based off a vampire calling ghosts from the deck to obtain multiple attacks. One of the most desired decks, due to aesthetics from players, turned into, if not, the most disappointing decks to play over time. I'll go over why nobody plays Feltyrosa. I'ma be honest, as much as I would love to go down memory lane and talk about the history of the deck, I think I would just explain my reasonings for why the deck falls off. There's a lot to unpack from our favorite vampire tsundere, so let's buckle in. Number 1, her mechanic of calling ghosts from the top of your deck from your drive checks is super outdated and not consistent. Decks in the Vines era have many consistent ways of getting extra attacks without having to gotcha them. No, I'm not talking about you. The method of how the deck obtains attacks is very fun, but inconsistent in nature. Feltyrosa gets the added benefit of obtaining multiple drive checks from calling ghosts to open rigor circles, if you actually get them. Many games I played with this deck, and if you hit 2 triggers on your turn, it's completely wasted. If you bring up Eleanor one more time, other than her grade 2 from her ride line, there isn't a consistent way of stacking ghosts on top of your deck. Number 2, ghost restricted. Feltyrosa, throughout all of Standard, has been really restricted to having a main deck full of ghosts. Generic cards have been made throughout the format, and she cannot benefit from any of them. Well, most of them. This also puts Feltyrosa in a very bad spot, where she has to conveniently wait till Bushiroad prints a good card with the ghost race or specific support. Which, if I wanted to wait for that, I would have joined the Flybird game. No hate to the people who love them, I do too. Number 3, no hand size or shield power. This is self-explanatory. The deck itself doesn't draw enough to survive in the Divines era, as well as the deck lacks shield cards. Most of them return themselves to the deck, but don't replace themselves other than a few cards do. Number 4, the Medial issue. Okay, I know that sounds strange, but hear me out. Dress Up Medial needs a Medial in drop zone to allow the front row to gain more power. She has support that can speed the process up of getting a copy of Medial. However, this is worse for Feltyrosa. There is no consistent way of getting Feltyrosa into your soul other than high rolling from other cards or the Willissa line, or you could just play a ghostless card. Why was this printed bushy? As much as I would love to complain about the deck, I want to offer some advice on making the deck better if Bushy ever watches this. First, for God's sake, please just print a card that stacks a ghost from rear to the top of the deck. I warned you. Something that after the battle of Rearguard boosted just stacks a ghost on the top of the deck. This will allow the deck to actually build some advantage or combo plays. Because if I have to drive check 2 more triggers during a drive check, number 2, some type of pity system. I know I joke about Feltyrosa being a gotcha deck, but it is really that after your first or second grade 3 turn. If there was a set order that allowed you to put the resolve trigger to the bottom of the deck and draw a card to call a ghost from hand or drop, that would help with some turns where you just miss. Number 3, ghosts that gain shield when placed on guard circle. A simple 5+K shield with some extra utility will help the deck's survivability. A good example of this direction is Carolata. Finally, I think she and the other set 1 dress-ups are overdue for an update. A lot of them but Willissa and Kyrie have been way out of the meta for a long time. The support they recently received are just either good to just why. Feltyrosa could use a gimmick update, and I think it's about time she did, because I need a reason to justify me having all of this Feltyrosa merchandise, right?